Welcome back. Just a few videos into this new channel here, we've covered some pretty serious topics. The trouble with that is, it just gets a little heavy. So to remedy this situation and lighten things up a little bit, I thought I'd tell you a story. A tale, if you will. It's not a tall tale. This actually happened, and I was involved in it. So I know the details are accurate, to the best that I can remember. This is a story about a man named Alltalk. Well, that isn't true. It's a story about a man that we nicknamed Alltalk. That kind of became his name by default. And the reason for that, obviously, was, well, number one, everybody gets a nickname, still to this day. And number B, everything we assumed that came out of this man's mouth was just smoke. It was just BS. It was all talk. This man was my neighbor. Now, let me back up a little bit, lay some groundwork for the story so you kind of get the picture here. I was 17 years old, first time living on my own, and had a roommate named John. John Boy was his nickname, like from the Waltons. Not because he had any similarities to the John Boy character, just because his name was John. So, John Boy. He was an older guy. He was probably, at this time, I don't know, early 30s. I was 17. But I wanted somebody dependable that, established, that was going to pay his half of the bills and the rent. So, well, we lived in this small house in a small town, a quiet town. It was formerly a retirement community, mostly old people. Well, the town was changing, and it was getting younger. Younger people were moving in. It was a very affordable place to live. Well, we lived in this town, right on the middle of the street. It quickly became known that we were the loud people. Probably everybody on that street's worst nightmare come true. John Boy had a Harley Davidson, loud. And this place had a garage, an attached garage, had sheetrock on the walls and a concrete floor. So you can imagine how quiet or not that Harley was firing up every morning in that garage, Well, I was a musician. I guess technically still am, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm playing guitar, and lots of it, because that's how you get better at anything. But especially as a musician, you hone your craft by putting in the time, repetition. Oftentimes loud. And we both had just unquenchable thirsts. We were the loud people, shooting off guns off the deck, the Harley, the guitars, and we eventually, shortly into this deal, our house became known as the Hub, which, it was the center. Everybody congregated at our house. I don't know why. That's just the way it happened. Well, and as Alltalk once told us, there's always something going on over here. Even when there wasn't. I mean, we'd just be hanging out, watching TV, having a beer. Somebody'd show up. They'd call somebody else. Now we got several somebodies. Then the neighbor comes. Then the other neighbor comes. That's just how it went. And I mean, off the chain, off the hook, crazy. So one day I'm out in the front yard, cutting a little wood, got my chainsaw, and I would drag it home, cut it up, split it, stack it, and we burned it. That's how we kept warm. We burned wood. And a guy shows up in the yard with 1 beer and 2 cigarettes. Cutting a little wood, are you? I says, yeah, seems that way. I'm just, how you doing? We just moved in over just across the road here. And just thought I'd introduce myself, And he gave his name and shook his hand, And then he proceeds to tell me everything I never wanted to know about wood. Oh, I see you're cutting a little white oak. Well, that's one of the most dense species of wood in all of North America, and on and on and on this went. I'm just trying to cut some wood. And here's an important part of the story. Alltalk was a nice guy. He really was, really likable guy. It just seemed like he knew everything about everything. Every time he would see you, and this is another thing, we never went to his house, ever, until later, but he always came to our house, and he always came with 1 or 2 beers and 1 or 2 cigarettes, and every time it was the same story. When these are gone, I gotta go. The wife says I spend too much time over here. It's like, dude, that ain't on us. I mean, you're free to go at any time, you know. We never saw his wife, ever. He would mention her quite a bit, but we had never seen her. When these are gone, I gotta go. And they would be gone after 40 minutes. And they, can I bum a beer from you? Can I buy some smokes off of you? And he always paid. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't a mooch and he wasn't a freeloader. He always very, a nice guy. But literally everything that came up in conversation, he had done it. He knew somebody had done it. He knew all about it. And it was just like, oh, this guy. And so we named him All Talk. Nicknamed him. It's just all talk. He's just all... I mean, we were sitting watching TV, having a few beers. All talk's over. He camps on the couch, crashes these watches. And a commercial comes on with Kathy Ireland. Kathy Ireland was a model in the, I guess still is kind of, she was really big in the 80s and 90s, if you don't know. Gorgeous woman. Well, she comes on TV peddling whatever it is that she was peddling herself. And here All Talk says, yeah, she's Kathy Ireland's all right, My wife's probably that attractive. And, oh, really? Is she? Well, of course she is. You're All Talk, We didn't say that, but that's, I look at John Boy, it's like, is she now? Yeah, she used to do cover shoots, for some magazines. And she did some modeling when she was a little younger. All Talk was, I don't know how old he was. I'm guessing around 30 years old. But we'd never seen her. So we don't know if she's attractive or not. Or just literally everything. And I'd play that guitar. And sometimes I wouldn't even have it plugged in. I'd just sit in the recliner, and pick on it. That's how you get better at things. Just repetition. Oh, playing guitar again, I see. Yeah, seems that way. My wife was a classically trained guitarist. Well, of course she was, because All Talk. We talk college football. Yeah, I played a little college ball, when I was at the University of Oklahoma. Are we talking about the Sooners? Oh, yeah. I played, with Brian Bosworth and stuff. I wasn't very good. I was second string, but yeah, I played with the Boss, Of course you did, And he knew about vehicles. He was a mechanic at one time. He was a lumberjack at one time. He played rugby at one time. He lived every life ever that ever was, hence the name All Talk. Well, again, really likable guy. The first, I don't know what you'd call him. The first turning of our opinion of All Talk, John Boy, he had that Harley, winter was coming on, and he bought an old beater Ford pickup. Back then you could get any kind of old beater truck, for whatever, $500, $700. And John Boy got one of those trucks, and it did not run well. You get what you pay for kind of deal, Well, All Talk shows up with his 1 beer and his 2 cigarettes, and what are we talking about? I said, John Boy bought this truck, and it's not running so good. Well, I can get her fixed up for you. And John Boy's like, dude, this thing, I gotta have this. All I got's the hog. And it's getting cold, man, and I gotta have it. Yeah, we can get it fixed up for you. We can get her going. What are you doing Saturday? I wasn't there for this part. But I came home that evening, and I was like, well, how'd it go? That was pretty good, No, with All Talk in the truck, And he says, dude, say what you want about All Talk. He knows his way around a motor. He got her timed up just right. He put a new distributor cap on it and plugs and wires. I think they put front brakes on it. He flushed the coolant, and just did a bang-up job. John Boy said that truck ran like showroom factory new. Huh. Well, all right, he can work on trucks. Yay for All Talk. Well, it gets later in the year, and of course, New Year's Eve rolls around. Well, at the hub, we're going to throw a party. You can set your watch by that, you know. So we do. And I'm talking, you got 50, 75 people, I don't know, didn't count them, and packed into this little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. You know, it's a New Year's Eve party now. Well, All Talk shows up with 2 beers and 4 cigarettes. You know, what's going on? A lot of cars over here. I saw, yeah, it's going to be a lot more, you know, and having a little gathering here New Year's Eve. Oh, wow. I might hang out for a little bit, but as soon as these are gone, I got to go. Wife says I spend too much time. Oh, yeah, the wife that we've never seen. Okay, well, people start showing up. A lot of women start showing up. All Talk has now bought, I don't know how many beers from me, you know. I'm like, dude, why don't you go get your beer and bring it over here? Oh, no, the wife doesn't, you know, I spend too much time over here. It's like, I tell you what, why don't you go bring your wife? That's fine. You know, nobody's gonna, we've never even met her. And he kind of thought on it for a little bit, and he said, you know what, you're right. I'll go get her. I'll be back in just a little bit. He leaves, the party's going now. I kind of forget about him. 10 minutes later, some new people come in the door. Well, it's All Talk. And his wife. I can't remember her name. But I can tell you this. She wasn't Kathy Ireland, but she was not a shabby looking woman. And I mean, it's another man's wife, so I wasn't going to get all carried away or anything. But I'm telling you, this was an attractive woman. The lady, very pleasant woman. Nice to meet you, ma'am. And she told me her name, you know, we do the introductions and stuff. Wow, he was not BSing about the wife now. Whew. The party goes on, couple, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours. People start getting on me, you know, break out your guitar, man, break out your guitar. All right, fine. I did, played a few songs, it's getting loud, you know, settled down a little bit. It's a little too early to be getting arrested, you know, the night's got to expand a little bit. Well, I'm putting stuff up, and I was like, you know, it seemed like we were told she was a classically trained guitarist. And so I approached her. I can't remember her name. I don't know if I ever knew. But anyway, Mark, All Talk tells us that you played classical guitar. Oh, that was a long time ago. I'm really rusty. And, you know, she had every excuse in the world. I'd love to hear you play, you know, and I give her my electric guitar. She's like, well, I don't really, you know, I played on a classical guitar. I'm 17 years old. I don't even know that there's a difference at this time. Oh, so excuses, you know, but I don't, you know, oh yeah. All Talk says, well, you got that one still in the closet? And I said, well, let's go find it. I'll help you, man. Let's go. Never been in the man's house. Well, it's just, you know, I don't know what it was, a half a block or something, if that away. Just around the cul-de-sac and everything. So I come into his house, first time I ever been in there. It's fine. It's a humble home, nice place, clean. And as we start going through this house, things start changing for me. Because above the fireplace, on the mantle, is a team picture. He says, yeah, that's my team photo there when I played for the Sooners. And I'm looking, and you know how a team photo is. There's 85 guys on it or whatever. He points himself out. Yeah, right there. That's a young me. And it was him. Really. And then we go looking for this guitar. He's digging through the closet. Hey, here's my old rugby uniform, he says. Pulls that out. Literally, step by step by step, everything the man told us was true. Maybe not everything. I mean, this guy had stories upon stories, but an awful lot of points now are becoming factual. He's got evidence to back them up. The wife, the guitar, the rugby uniform, the Oklahoma Sooners. He finds the guitar in the closet. We get out of there, go back to my place. Gets the old guitar out, the wife tunes it up, and I'm really rusty, I hadn't played since college. She's just whipping out classical, which is some of the most difficult music there is to play on, well, about anything really. So that one came true. And I'm looking at John Boy and thinking, aren't we a bunch of idiots? And yes, in fact, we were. When you judge a book by its cover, the trouble with that is you haven't opened it up far enough to see what's inside. That's one of the oldest sayings there is, and that's for a reason, because it's true. I don't know whatever became of Mark. I did see him probably 3 years later. It's the same job he was working at when he lived across from us. Right before I moved out of that place, him and his wife were expecting a baby, so he thought they should buy a house instead of renting one. So he came to say his goodbyes, and shake hands, brought me a case of beer. He had replaced and paid for any beer they took, and I didn't care anyway, but he thought that was neat. I thought it was neat too. It's kind of funny. And so we parted ways. Well, I guess the point of the story here is that you don't judge a book by its cover. And now, as an older guy with some life experience under my belt, I'm starting to realize that, okay, well, there's two types of people in the world. There's what they refer to as, what do they call them? NPCs, non-player characters. People are just kind of there. They live a conservative type life. They get up, they go to work, they come home, they eat, shower, they go to bed, they get up, they go to work, rinse and repeat. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm the other kind of people. Always have been. That's just the way things work out. Now, I don't drink and party like I used to. Like I said, I'm an old man. But when you're the other kind, along the way, just the circumstances of the lifestyle, you put yourself into positions where you meet a lot of fascinating people. And fascinating might mean good, and it might mean horrible. You don't get to decide that. It's up to the people that you interchange with. Point being, the more age you get, the more experience you get, the more life you get, your stories start stacking up. Just like Altox did. Mark was the man's name. And I found now, as an older guy, I try to keep back. If somebody asks me something, I'll tell you what I know about it. If something's just a really remarkable story that I saw or I heard about or I know about, I might throw that in there. But I try to kind of lay back with strangers. Because in a life that's full of activity, it almost seems like a lie when there's too many things. This guy knows everything. He's been everywhere. He's done everything. What a blowhard. That's what we used to call him. He's another Altalk. Except he's not. He's a man who's done a lot of living of life and met a lot of amazing people and had a lot of experiences. And I'm finding that out as an older guy. Maybe Mark's life was more action-packed than mine. Maybe not so crazy, but he'd just done a lot more things, I don't know. It's interesting though to think about. I hadn't thought of that in a long time. Just thought I'd share it with you. Tell me some of your crazy happenstances down in the comments if you're so inclined. Appreciate the like and subscribe and the things with the jazz hands. I guarantee it'll be fun to think of them if you haven't for a while. Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.